weekend right there, buddy.
The Ohio High School Athletic Association last year kind of experimented with having all the playoff games on Friday nights. And then they did away with that.
Did they? Okay.
And now they're back to Friday, Saturday, which I think makes more sense.
I think so, especially in towns like this, where you got split fields and people want to see a couple teams play.
I think one of the problems last year with that one night only is the sites, especially in week 2, because there's only so many sites to go around.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, real good. All right, so other scores from last weekend: Liberty Benton beat Hopewell Loudon 41-14. Hopewell at 3-5 on the year. Mohawk remains undefeated. They beat Buckeye Central 50-14. They have a big game on Friday night. They play at Winford. They're always tough.
Yeah, they're always tough. I know Winford's a little down this year. You kind of saw that Seneca East game, and Seneca East put it to them pretty good, but it'll be a good game. Winford's always a big, tough football team, and if Mohawk overlooks them, they're going to be in for a game.
Seneca East beat Upper Sandusky easily. They'll play Colonel Crawford this week.
That's going to be a great game. Both teams have good athletes and big offensive lines and defensive lines. I think I'm actually going to go out to that one. That's going to be a really good game.
Willard beat Danbury. They'll play Calvert, as we talked about earlier. Fostoria over Elmwood, 28-22. And in that game at Fosteria's Memorial Stadium, they renamed the field there, Dick Kidwell Field. Of course, he was the coach that won 2 state championships at Fostoria back in the 90s and won a lot of games over the years.
And his son is the head coach now, so it's kind of fate there. That's awesome.
Yep, Derek Kidwell, head coach at Hopewell Loudon, then went to Fremont Ross and then to Fostoria. Yeah. Other scores: Arlington beat Arcadia last week 41-6. Lipsick over Van Loo. It was Fremont St. Joe beating Lakota. Gibsonburg over Margaretta. And Clyde, that was a good ball game. Sandusky, they started the year with 5 straight wins, and then they've lost 3 in a row. And they've lost some tough ones. They lost this one to Clyde 33-28. And they had the ball at the end of the game, too.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, Sandusky started off so hot. I mean, they weren't just wins. They were winning big. Putting up huge offensive numbers. And I kind of thought they were going to roll again this year like they have in years past. But, kudos to the other team to, kind of figure out what they were doing and getting some wins against them. But that is really surprising.
So going back to the Sandusky Bay Conference River Division, Gibsonburg at 5-0. Calvert and Willard both 4-1, so those teams still have a shot. Northern 10, Mohawk at 5-0. Seneca East at 4-1. Then you have Winford, Cary, and Colonel Crawford, each 3-2, going into the final 2 weeks. And in the Blanchard Valley Conference, boy, it's always been a very strong small school conference. This year, Pandora, Gilboa at 6-0. Lipsick and Macomb each 5-1. Arlington and Liberty Benton at 4-2 in league play so far. So it's going to be interesting. We'll talk more about high school football next week, but let's talk about your big victory on the road. Your team now, Coach, 3-0 on the road this year.
Yeah.
Got a 21-7 victory to retain the Rhine River Cup.
A great win against a great opponent, and the Rhine River Cup is something really special. I think that's in Division III. We have, especially in the OAC, you have a lot of naturally built rivalries just because almost every school's had football since the 1800s. It's pretty unbelievable. We've been playing Otterbein since 1906, and to have that trophy game is something that is really special to us. I know we have 2 of them between us and Otterbein, and then us and Ohio Northern also with the Bendo Bowl. But having a trophy game is something really special, and that really means a lot to obviously both coaching staffs, but the players and the schools in general. So it was a big, big win for us.
Defensive struggle in the first half, with looking at the scores from earlier in the day with lots and lots of points. It was a 7-0 halftime score with Maceo Matthews with the only score, a 54-yard pass from Trace Reynolds, and that was a thing of beauty. That was a great pass, and Trace really aired it out, and Maceo grabbed it and took it in for the score.
Yeah, that was probably the farthest throw I've ever seen Trace throw.
Yeah,
I mean,
was
that thing was
long.
probably 55 yards, and he was on the run, too. I mean, it wasn't stationary. Crow hopped into it. So, what an unbelievable play. I know that's not something you usually see from a Heidelberg-Otterbein game, I think. Usually you're expected to see 30 to 30 at half or something like that. But it was just two good defenses, you know, and they do have a great defense. Those front three really gave us fits all game, their defensive line. But we were able to figure some things out in the second half there, and both teams were able to move the ball a little bit on each other's defense, but kind of stalled out in the red zone, both teams. I know we missed a couple field goals. They missed a couple field goals. We had an interception in the goal line. So it was a great defensive game, but it was also some offensive miscues in the red zone, both teams. So, but yeah, it was actually being a defensive coach. It was nice seeing a 7-0 game at half, and usually I'm just sitting there scratching my head. How can we get one stop?
Well, talking about those missed field goals, really, each kicker, from the press box, they didn't look too bad. They looked like they might be good, but just didn't quite.
No, they were close. They were both. I mean, all four of them were close. Yeah. They were all, which is rare because honestly, obviously Baker's very good, and he's been very good for us for 2 years now. Their kicker has been very good. He's the same kicker that hit a 49-yarder to send us to overtime last year. So, right. Two of the better kickers in the conference, both just having off days. Protection was there. They just had off days.
They made the extra points, so we had 4 touchdowns in the game, and they were 4 for 4 with that. But looking at the stats, Trace, another great game, 18 of 26, 224 yards and 2 touchdowns. Receiving, Braden Jerome with 7 catches, 71 yards. But Maceo Matthews, another one, 5 catches, 90 yards. He had 2 touchdowns, and as we talked about, it was 7-0 at halftime. Maceo caught a 27-yarder in the third quarter to expand your lead to 14-0.
Yeah. And again, that was a great throw, great catch. That Maceo just ran in from there. I'm finally starting to see. I'm hoping Maceo is finally starting to realize how good he is. Maceo is a freak athlete. I mean, probably the fastest kid on my team. His hands, he's got the hands of a 6'7" kid. I mean, his hands are huge. He runs great routes. He's an extremely hard-working kid. I'm really excited to see him mature as a player and to realize that when he goes, no one can cover him. I mean, he is that good. I haven't seen someone this good since. Even looking at last year, Tony and D, he's just as good as those guys, if not better, and he will be better. There's no question. So really excited to see him become a bigger part of our offense and him just realizing that he's really good. So it's really fun as coaching to see those guys kind of just flip a switch and say, man, I'm pretty good. I should be open every time, and hopefully it will be.
To remind you somewhat of Dante Dye because he went on to the pros and he's still hanging in there and playing some practice.
And that switch didn't flip for him till probably his junior year.
Mm-hmm. But not that early, yeah.
His freshman year he didn't play any offense. He was a special teamer. Sophomore year he was a situational, like the fourth receiver coming in. It didn't really click for him that he's really good until his senior year, or till his junior year, really about midway through his junior year. And from there, the rest is Heidelberg football history and lore right there. But kind of the same thing with Mike Preston. Didn't click for him till his junior year, and Maceo, it's starting to click a little earlier. So I'm really excited to see his progress as a receiver.
First, Jace Grossman got some extra carries because Brandon Short.
A little banged up.
And kind of sat out. But Jace had 95 yards on the ground, on 14 carries. So he was a workhorse, 7 yards a carry, and had the 1 touchdown. Shortly after Maceo got his second touchdown, just a few minutes later, Jace Grossman with a 7-yard run.
Yep, we capitalized on a Otterbein miscue, got a turnover, got a fumble, and was able to punch it right in right after. I mean, I was hardly done celebrating the fumble. Then also when we scored, I'm like, oh man, we got to get special teams out there. We got to get Delta out there. So, it's good. Defense was able to come up with 3 turnovers. 4, 3. I don't know, something like that. But we were able to get some turnovers, especially some kind of around the 50 or inside the 50, which gives the offense a short field. And in those kind of defensive struggles, those are the biggest plays of the game. Are those turnovers to give your offense an extra possession and to get a big momentum swing. But that second half, I really think we controlled from all three facets of the game. I mean, it was just great to see the guys really execute, and you can see on film the guys were having fun. When our guys go out there and execute, they're having fun out there, and you can just see it in the way they act, the way they play. I love seeing it. I absolutely love it. So it was a fun second half.
No doubt about it. You actually did get the three turnovers. They fumbled once, and the 2 interceptions, one by Dylan Harder, and a real good one by Jordan Green.
Jordan Green right in the end zone to stop their first drive. That was a huge one. And Dylan's was Dylan Martyr. Dylan's was unbelievable. It was a one-handed kind of guy draped on him. Made an unbelievable catch, which is great because he has horrible hands. Horrible hands. I mean, he can't catch a cold in practice, but no, which is honestly this right now on campus. That's pretty easy to do to catch a cold right now with this weather. But just an unbelievable interception. And again, those are when you talk about those tight games against two good defenses. Those are going to be the game. Those are going to be the plays that win you the game.
And I apologize. I did say Harder. It's Martyr. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Wrote that down wrong, but I should know better. But. Your defense almost pitched a shutout, came close. We were even looking up when the last time, because Jeff at the back of the of his guide says the last time something happened, we were looking up shutout. It's been a few years, and Otterbein came back with just 1:08 to go in the game and got their only score.
Yeah, we were again we had the game wrapped up. We knew it. You know, and we had some young guys getting some playing time, getting some experience, which anytime you get a chance to do that, you want to do that as a coach, keep guys happy, but also get them on the field. And, they hit a couple passes on us. It happens. It happens.
But going back to the defense, besides interceptions with Martyr and Green, Eric Hagedorn had a really good game.
He was all over the place. He was amazing. I mean, he really, I think, took over that game from a physicality standpoint because he was not only making tackles, making plays, and reading extremely well. He was hitting hard, and I think he really, whether you were running back carrying the ball, a quarterback in the pocket, or a receiver trying to catch the ball, I mean, he was laying some serious hits out there, which really set the tone for our entire defense. This day and age, it's tough to hit hard legally. It really is in today's football. Mm-hmm. And he was doing it so well that gets the whole defense up. That gets the offense up. I mean, those are in a tight game like that, like it was really for 3 quarters. Those are the little things you need to win those type of games. Okay, those momentum swings, those big hits, those interceptions, things like that. It's the little things that are going to get you the points you need to win it.
Eric had 11 tackles, 1 sack. Zach Blackiston, their freshman, with another good game, 6 tackles, 2 sacks. And Colin Pecoraro had 5 tackles and 2 sacks. So you got the job done defensively, only giving up the 1 score. And now your attention turns to Mount Union on Saturday. But solid win on the road. And how's this week's practice been so far?
Been a great week of practice. I tell you what, been a great week of practice. It was cold, so our Florida boys aren't very happy right now.
Right.
But no, really a great week, really focused week. It's our team's a little different. You watch us play, you watch us practice. I'll be honest, our team's just a little different. We're a looser team. We're a looser staff. And I think when you come down to practice and you see our guys dancing around, you might think, oh, they're not focused. No, that's just. They're just getting in the flow of practice. They're getting in the flow of the game, and that's what I love to see. And I think we play better when we're loose, and that's what I've seen at practice this week. Guys have been focused while they're out there, but they're having fun, and that's why I love this team so much. I love coaching them. It's a blast. They don't play well when they're uptight and I'm yelling and Coach Lewis and Coach Jacobson are yelling. That's not our style. That's not the way we play. We like to play loose. We like to play fast and have fun, and that's really shown this week of practice. And a lot of people looking from the outside, man, it's a lack of focus. It's really not. The guys are focused when they're out there. It's just having fun when you're not.
Well, I've been doing this. I think this is my 10th year of doing play-by-play for Heidelberg games, and I do admit that this team is probably the most enthusiastic bunch that I've seen in the 10 years.
Enthusiastic is a good word to put it. I like that. But no, they're a wild bunch of youngins, man. I love them.
Well, I like when you score. It's the hopping up and down and
that's the party
mobbing.
box.
Yeah, that mobbing the guy that did something great, and that gets everybody involved and keeps the spirits high, right?
Exactly. Yeah, the first thing my dad taught me: celebrate every accomplishment. You never know you never know when it's going to happen again, so celebrate it.
All right, real good. We're going to take a break and hang in there, Coach, because volleyball guys, not the guys, the volleyball coach is a guy, but the coach and the gals haven't made it over yet. Maybe a long practice or something. So might have to get back to talking with you here on the Scott Donaldson Show. We'll take our first break. Here. And we'll be back, and we'll see who our guest will be. Might be Scott Donaldson, but we'll take a break. We'll be right back with more of the show here from the Berg Bistro here on WTTF.
I'm Brandon Massey. I play D-line the year 2022. And I major in business. Ideal vacation, and who would you take with you? I like to go to Dubai, and I'll take my mom with me. Favorite class at Heidelberg? I mess with business class. It's kind of like my major and everything, and it helps me because it's like on the other classes because it teaches about real life situations, and the whole world runs like a business pretty much. If you could have any superpower, what would it be and why? I run really fast, so I never have to use gas on my car. You're starting a band or group. What teammates are in your band? I'll get Rudy. I'll get Russell. V. And I'll get G. If you could play any other football position, what would it be and why? I play running back.
Yeah, no, I didn't say that. Anyway, we'll talk with a couple of Heidelberg senior volleyball players here coming up. But Coach Miller not able to make it tonight, but we'll tell folks a little bit about Jason Miller. He's been around for a long time. Even though, Robbie's still a young guy. He's still young. He's a Hopewell Loudon graduate, which is not too far down the road. 1998 Heidelberg graduate. He was a great wrestler here. And he also, I think for 8 years, was at the same time the wrestling coach and the volleyball coach at the same time. And in college, I'm sure that was very hard to do, So, but right now, just concentrating on volleyball. So we have a couple of players here we'd like to introduce that have been around for a while as well. But Morgan Strenk, thanks for joining us here. And I looked up where Aurora, Ohio. I knew it was in northeast Ohio.
Yeah.
But it's kind of in between Akron and Cleveland, right?
Yeah, I usually tell people I'm just from Cleveland. And
okay.
They're like, oh, okay.
Yep. A little bit southeast of Cleveland. So tell us about your days at Aurora High School. No, it's Crestwood High School. Sorry about that. But your hometown is Aurora. But Crestwood High School, tell us what you did besides play volleyball.
Well, at Crestwood High School, it was just 20 minutes down the road from Aurora. So I went there. And my mom taught there, so that's why I kind of went there instead of Aurora. I played volleyball, basketball, and track there. I wasn't a runner, though. Definitely running was not my thing. I did high jump instead. I played basketball for about 2 years, and I played volleyball for 4.
So what led you to Tiffin, Ohio, and Heidelberg University to play? Well, actually, of course, you come here to get a degree first. Yeah,
yes, of course.
The student athlete, and the student comes first, the athlete comes second. But what led you to Heidelberg?
Well, I actually never heard of Heidelberg until I went to a prospect camp, and Jason happened to be there, and he was like, oh, I'm the coach from Heidelberg, and it was actually at Otterbein, and that's where I first met him, and then learned about the school, and then as soon as I came here, I loved it. So,
you from Germany, or because there's a Heidelberg University in Germany also. But,
yeah.
In Ohio. So led you here. So tell us about your playing days. Your 4th year now here at Heidelberg playing volleyball, but Coach Miller's been around for a long time, and just tell your general feelings about the volleyball program and your experiences.
Well, my freshman year, I didn't know what to expect at all. I mean, coming from high school and to just a different total different playing level of play. And my freshman year, we won OAC championships, and we had a really solid team. My sophomore year, we returned a lot of players. Unfortunately, we couldn't pull out another OAC championship that year, and then all of those girls graduated my junior year. And so it was more of a rebuilding year for us my junior year, and then this year we have a lot of solid girls on the court, and we have so much talent on the team, and it's really nice that we still have a lot of returners from last year that know what to do and know what to expect.
So this year so far with another fine record, 17 wins, 8 losses overall, 3-3 in the OAC. Had a tough loss to Ohio Northern the other night. They're always good in volleyball, aren't they?
Yeah, they're a pretty solid team. We always go back and forth with them.
Yeah, for sure. And then Saturday, Mount Union at home, and that's 1 o'clock at Cyberling Gymnasium. Tell us what you know about the Mount Union team.
Mount Union, they're always a very solid team. I mean, they have good defense. They have really tall girls on their team, so definitely not a team that we can overlook by any means at all, and it should be a battle. They're still solid. They have a decent record, too. So, I mean, we always go out there and we always play hard, so it should be a really good game.
And next week will be the final regular season week. John Carroll at home on Tuesday, and then on Saturday the 27th playing at Muskingum. And you also play Hiram at the same time, so you'll have a doubleheader that day. But that will end the regular season. And how does the OAC work as far as the tournament? How many teams make the OAC tournament?
So there's 10 teams in the OAC, and the top 8 will make it.
So it's almost like basketball. I know in basketball it's the top 8. So I'm sure you're going to be into the tournament again this year. But the more wins you have, the better seed you get, and you want to have
exactly.
the highest seed as possible, right?
We want to at least host one game, so it'd be that we have to place in the top 4. And if we can win out the rest of the OAC games, there's going to be a lot of ties. No one has really won out besides Otterbein, so there'll be a lot of tiebreakers that kind of decide the placing. But the OAC teams, they're so equal in playing levels that it could be anyone's game any day. So it'll be really interesting to see where we fall.
So the next 3 matches will be very important: Mount Union, John Carroll, and Muskingum.
Yeah.
So going out there and trying to get that the best seed as possible. And for those who don't know volleyball all that well, like myself, I know the basics and all that, but in college volleyball, explain to us about, and to the listeners, about the different positions on the team.
So there's 3 main positions. You have your passers, your setters, and your hitters. And there's 3 hitters in the front row. There's a left side, there's a middle hitter, and the right side. And your middle hitter is usually your tallest girl on the team because they'll put up a block a lot. And your setter is the one that will always touch the second ball most of the time. And your passers are going to be most of the time your shorter players, but Taylor's actually our libero, which is the girl on the team that wears a different colored jersey, and she's an all-time back row player. But Taylor's taller than what most people expect, but usually those are your shorter girls. And yeah, we just run, there's a lot of different plays that we run that people don't expect, that there's a lot more that goes into it than just pass that hit.
So if you haven't seen the volleyball team yet, 2 opportunities. Again, Saturday at 1 p.m. against Mount Union, next Tuesday night at 7. And then, so I'm sure, being senior, it's going to be tough playing your last regular season home game. Still have a chance, like you talked about, to maybe host a tournament game, but that's not for sure. So
right.
Might be kind of tough, for the seniors on that last game, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm excited for it. I mean, it'll be sad. It'll be bittersweet. So.
Yeah, for sure. But all right. But best of luck to you and the rest of the team. We're going to take a break, and we'll come back and talk to Taylor Arbogast, who's heard of Heidelberg because you grew up just right down the road, right? So in New Regal. So we'll talk to her, and then we'll get back to football as well. So once again, Morgan Strenk, senior volleyball player, thanks very much for joining us here tonight.
Thank you for having me.
And best of luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to take a time out here on WTTF, and we'll be back with more of the Scott Donaldson Show. And we'll do that. We'll continue the show right after this. Okay, we're back here at the Berg Bistro 1850 on campus, and once again, great place to come in and grab something to eat, something to drink, and they serve breakfast, lunch, dinner, and late night snacks here. And earlier I told about the hours, but they're open early, and especially on Fridays and Saturdays, they stay open late. Matter of fact, if you missed that, Monday through Thursday hours, 7 a.m. until 11 p.m., Friday from 7 a.m. till midnight, Saturday from 11 a.m. till 12 midnight, and Sundays from 4 to 10. So, talking volleyball here as the season kind of winds down, the regular season, but our second guest here, Taylor Arbogast from New Rigo, Ohio, and I've been to New Rigo a lot doing basketball games, but volleyball is a little hard to do on the radio, but I've been in your gym, your new gym, which is real nice, but right down the road, so you don't have very far to go, right?
No, I don't.
New Rigo and Old Fort and a couple other schools don't have football, so, in the fall, volleyball's got to be one of the big things in school. I know those two schools I just mentioned, even this year, it's big rivalry in volleyball, right?
Yeah, those two teams, it was always a rival when I was in school too. And yeah, volleyball definitely was the thing to do in the fall. Like, we didn't have football to go to, so it was a Friday night. Oh, we have a home volleyball game? Everyone was there.
Sure.
Our gym was almost always packed for games, which was a really good atmosphere to play in.
I think just a couple weeks ago at Old Fort, they had a big match and big crowd there, which is nice to see.
Yeah, big crowds are the best to play in front of.
Yeah, for sure. So, what made you decide, there's a lot of schools around Northwest Ohio and around Ohio, but what made you decide on Heidelberg?
Well, I was actually in between Heidelberg and another school, and I had went to that other school for a volleyball tournament, and just something about it when I walked in that gym that day to play, it just was not home. It wasn't where I knew I wanted to spend my next 4 years, and Heidelberg had always kind of had that homey feeling for me, so it just felt like the right fit for me.
Well, I've been broadcasting for a while here, about 10 years, and I just love the campus.
Oh, it's so pretty.
It is. My daughter went here for 1 year back years ago, and I always like walking around. I remember the day that I took my oldest daughter on an official visit. It happened to be the coldest day in like 20 years. It was like 15 below zero. So I'll never forget that. We were just like frozen solid, and I couldn't wait to get into the buildings, but. And she went here for a year and then went on to Bowling Green for various reasons. But always a great atmosphere here, and Cyberling Gymnasium with the new upgrades, great place to play. And, the crowds really get into it, whether it's volleyball or basketball or wrestling or whatever, right?
Yeah, that's something I really like about here is we almost always have a huge student fan base, or our parents. Our parents are the best. They travel with us as well, but the students who come to the games they're rowdy, which is good for us because we play better when we have rowdy fans. And just having that gym full, it's really just a different atmosphere than when it's quiet in there. So having a big crowd and having the support is something that's really cool about Heidelberg.
I know going back to your high school days, you played more than just volleyball, and at high school and especially small schools, you do play other sports. You played basketball and softball also, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so, did you have a chance to maybe think about playing another sport, or was volleyball always kind of your game?
Yeah, I had always kind of thought volleyball was always definitely the one that I for sure wanted to pursue in college. Basketball and softball were maybe possibilities. They were going to be kind of like added bonuses, if anything. But volleyball was always my main focus. It was definitely the sport that I put the most time into, and really my passion was strongly for. But I loved the other two as well. I mean, I couldn't imagine having not played them in high school. Like, I don't know what I would have done with all that free time.
So you've seen action, as a freshman, and started playing a lot as a sophomore, and then last year you had a great season. But explain to us further what your role on the team is. And I tried to practice your position, but it's pronounced a couple different ways, right?
I pronounce it libero.
Yeah,
I'm not exactly sure.
I've heard it different ways, but libero. But And I know that Morgan talked about you wear a different color jersey. So explain in detail maybe what it takes to play your position well.
That's a good question. This is actually my first year stepping into that role. Up until this year, I was either a hitter or just kind of a defensive kid who came in every now and then. But a libero is usually one of your best defensive players, kid who's going to get touches on balls and one of your better serve receivers. And I just kind of fell into that role this year. Coach asked if I could step up, and I was ready for it. So he was just looking for somebody to fill that role, so I stepped up.
And again, are you in the back line all the time then?
Yes.
Okay, real good. So, and what's the significance of wearing the different color?
I think it's just so that the ref, because the libero doesn't have to actually sub in. They just kind of run in and out, not while the play's going, but in between dead balls. So they don't actually waste the subs or anything. So I think that's part of the reason for the different color and just easier identification.
So you can keep track of your,
yeah,
I guess. All right. So this year with 25 matches so far, 17-8 overall, 3-3 in the OAC, and we talked to Morgan about the importance of the next three conference games. Big one Saturday at home against Mount Union. It's one of those must wins, right? In order to get a higher seed in the tournament.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, the rest of our OAC games are all that must win, especially if we want a higher seed, which we do. Like Morgan talked about, we really want to host at least the first round. It's so much nicer to get to host a game. To play on your home court is, like I said earlier, it's really great to have that atmosphere. So we really want to be able to host a game, and our goal is to get to those 20 wins. So
right,
we'd like to
17 and 8 overall, but to get that conference win, then you'll have next Tuesday John Carroll as well, and then Saturday, October 27th at Muskingum. So got to take one at a time, but each is important for sure. But you have to finish in the top 4, right, to get that home advantage?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, the top 4 host the first round, and then after that, I believe it's the higher seed.
Let's talk about your teammates a little bit, Taylor. You have a good mixture on the squad of freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. But besides yourself and Morgan, how many other seniors are on the team?
We have 5 seniors in total, and then we have a bunch of freshmen this year. A couple of them are contributing quite a bit and have really stepped into their roles this year. So that's really good to see, because sometimes freshmen can be a little timid, but we've had quite a few this year who've really stepped up and shown that they are ready to play at the college level, which is really good to see. And then in between sophomores and juniors, same thing. People have just been ready to step in and take ownership when we need somebody to get the job done.
You normally see that with more freshmen, kind of almost like an audition to see how they can fit on the team. And by the time you get to be a senior, there's not as many. When you were a freshman, there was probably more than 5 freshmen, right?
Right. We came in with 14.
Yeah. So you work your way through. So congratulations to going through through all 4 years. But as we talked about earlier, student athletes, and what are you studying here at Heidelberg, and what are your future ambitions?
I am a communications major, and then after graduation this year, I plan on coming back to pursue my master's in the MBA program.
Oh, very good. I know, a lot of students do that to get their master's immediately after, getting their undergraduate. So that's a good thing. And, education, I know it's stressed, and that's number 1 priority, right?
Absolutely. That's something that our coach stresses very much, too. He understands that we are students first and athletes second, and then we came here for an education, and volleyball is just kind of an added bonus.
Yeah. But a big chunk of the student body here at Heidelberg are athletes.
Yes,
they are. You don't see that too much, that big of a percentage. I think it's over half, maybe like 60% of all the undergrads are an athlete in one sport or another, right?
Yeah, they definitely are, and I think that just helps that atmosphere and that supportiveness that we have between teams, like the wrestling team, the baseball team. Like, they're always coming to our games, the soccer teams, and then we try to reciprocate that by going and supporting them, and that just helps with our great fan base that we have, and I think it's something really special that Heidelberg offers.
No doubt about it. Jason Miller, the head coach, not able to make it tonight, but he's been around for a long time, and hopefully will be here for a long time. But besides Coach Miller, how many assistant coaches are on the squad?
We have one assistant coach, Amanda File, and our graduate assistant, Abby Barth.
Okay, so they help out for sure, but we've been talking with Taylor Arbogast from originally from New Rigo, Ohio, right down the road. And congratulations on a great career, and best of luck for the next 3 conference matches coming up with Mount Union, John Carroll, and Muskingum. Then you have to play Hiram at the end, too, in a doubleheader on the 27th. But hopefully we'll keep an eye on those results, and hopefully your team will play at home in the OAC tournament.
Yes, that's the goal.
That's the goal. So very good. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll come back and wrap up the show with Coach Scott Donaldson, head football coach, and we'll wrap up the show here in a little bit. John Kearns with you here at the Berg Bistro 1850, live here on WTTF. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Berg Bistro here on the campus, University Commons. Come over anytime for great food and drink, and I always wait until after the show before I eat because, But
lucky you give me a break, so I just mowed down a burger.
Yeah, so I always grab a menu, and the thing is, it's really big. There's a lot of things. There's nightly specials, appetizers. You like soups and salads. They have great pizzas. I've had that before.
Great pizza, great burgers.
Yeah, great burgers. The Heidelberger, of course, and some other ones. And even if you're a vegetarian or a vegan, you can get the black bean burger, which I tried and was not too bad. It was pretty good.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, I'm trying to watch this figure here,
You and me both.
They have different entrees, sides, and desserts, and great desserts, too. So anytime, come on in. But Coach Scott Donaldson back with us, and we talked about volleyball with the 2 players there, Taylor Arbogast.
2 great players, by the way.
Yeah, Morgan Strenk joining us here tonight. So men's soccer team, they're 5 wins, 7 losses, 1 tie going into the weekend game. It'll be a home against Mount Union. That's at 1 o'clock. And the women's soccer team is 6-9-1. They'll play at Mount Union. After you guys, they'll play Saturday night. Their season kind of wrapping up as well, for sure. OAC football games on Saturday afternoon. Baldwin Wallace will play at Wilmington. Marietta at John Carroll. That's going to be a good one, don't you think?
No. No, I don't. I'm sorry. It might be. Hey, I might get surprised.
You never know.
You never know. You never know. But I've seen John Carroll on film past few weeks, and man, their defense is wow.
I'm more of a positive guy. Yeah.
There you go. Hey,
well, you look on paper.
I mean, Marietta has probably the best O-line in the conference, and the best running back in the conference. So, if they're able to get some first downs, and if their defense can create some stops, I mean, it might be a game. There's no question. And they're playing extremely well and extremely confident now. But just after watching John Carroll a few games, they're really firing on all cylinders right now.
Plus they're at home. So Ohio Northern plays at Capitol, and Otterbein is at Muskingum on Saturday afternoon. But game that we're talking about is Heidelberg at Mount Union. 2 years ago when you were on the road at Mount Union, played real well in that first half, didn't you?
Yeah. I think that was the year. Kind of like last week, we stalled out in the red zone a bunch of times. I mean, we had the ball inside their 10, I think 3 or 4 times, and came away with only 7 points. And listen, you're playing against the best team in the nation. This team is unbelievable. 3 years ago, they were unbelievable too. You can't waste any opportunity you're given. All right, you have that ball inside the 10, you have to come away with 7 points. It's that simple. You have to take every advantage of every single opportunity that you create or that you're given, because you can't make mistakes against this good of a football team.
Well, that's the key too, is that you have to play your A+ game against Mount Union, or maybe over soon. It's one of those deals.
Yeah, and we've been talking all week. I mean, listen, we're not going to shy away from everyone that come to play football and Heidelberg knows that every year we're going to have to play Mount Union. Every year we're going to, but I think that's also a good recruiting tool, is that you're going to get a chance to play the best in the country. Every year you're going to be able to see where you're at as a team and as a player against some of the best against the best Division III football team in the country. But no, it's not about people playing above themselves. You know what I mean? It's just about guys executing. And that's the only way you beat good football teams, is if you execute and you don't make mistakes. And it's very simple. I mean, you see teams, they try to intimidate them and come out, and I think a team this year actually tried to, and hooting and hollering before the game to show them they're not scared. I mean, guys, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. All right, this team has lost 2 regular season games and since I've been 7 years old, for a reason. All right, it's about just going out there and executing and playing your football game. You can see us coaches. We're not going to try to reinvent the wheel. We're going to do what we do well and hope our guys execute, because that's the only way to do it.
Normally when you look at the OAC individual stats, you don't usually see a lot of Mount Union guys maybe at the top. You'll see here and there, but they just have just a lot of really outstanding players, from the offensive line to the running backs, the quarterbacks, the defense, special teams, all across the board.
It's also because usually they're only playing a half.
That's part of it too. Yeah, that's part of it too. Right.
And that's the thing. This year's team is one of the best Mount Union teams I've seen in my 15 years going against them in this conference. I mean, not only are they returning national champions, they pretty much bring back everybody from a returning national championship team. It starts with Fulford, the quarterback. Easily, if not at least top 2 OAC quarterbacks I've ever seen in my life. I mean, I'd put him up there with the Myers kid from John Carroll a few years ago. Just freakishly accurate. I mean, he doesn't make mistakes. He's thrown 1 interception this entire year, and it was off a tip ball. I think it hit the receiver he was trying to throw to on a slant, hit him in the head, and it bounced up, and a Wilmington guy caught it. So he's big, and he can run when he wants to. Not that he's a big runner, but when he needs to, he can go. And it just, when the receiving core they have to throw to are usually pretty open. So they're really good this year.
Well, we can go on and on about Mount Union. Let's talk more about Heidelberg. Are you happy with your balanced offensive attack this year? Your numbers about the same with rushing and passing. I know Trace Reynolds has a bunch of those yards. He's highly ranked as far as total offense.
Oh, absolutely should be. And it's I really like the way Jason's really built. Coach Lewis, has really built this offense. We strive to be a balanced team, but that's not game by game. Okay, we're going to take what the defense gives us. Some games are going to be better. We're going to be better throwing the ball. Some games we're going to be better running the ball. So it's not about being balanced throughout the season. It's just having a balanced offense to where you can run the ball, you can throw the ball, and that's one thing I really like to see. This offense, I like to see that we haven't been able to do in the past couple of years. I think our running game is so much better than it's been in the past few years. It starts up front with our O-line. Have been doing a really good job creating seams for these running backs, and Trace running the ball, obviously. You can see that in Jason's play calling. 3rd and 3 last year was probably a 95% passing down. 3rd and 3 this year is closer to running down, and that's what it should be. We want to be confident enough in our running game to be able to run the ball on 3rd down and say, we're going to get 3 yards. Okay, that's a guarantee. We're going to get it. All right, that's when you can see you have confidence in your run game, and that's what I'm really seeing this year. Now, obviously, that's a week-to-week thing. Again, balance is a week-to-week thing. You got to. Not every week is even, and you got to take what the defense gives you sometimes.
Switching gears to the defense, impressed this year with the the attack mode and the aggressiveness of the defense. Your enthusiasm out there, and a lot of different players, and some young, not some seniors. So.
Yeah, and the problem is those seniors weren't. This is their first year starting too, so they're still kind of young. But no, we switched defenses in the offseason this year. Really did a lot of research, a lot of studying, went all across the country. Kind of switching from a 4-2 to a 3-4. We're really kind of a 50 is kind of what we're running now. And that took a lot, to be honest with you. That took a lot of trust from the coaches that we're going to go to something completely new. All right, it took a lot of trust in the players that they're going to trust us, that we know we're going to try to put them in the right positions. And first couple of weeks, it was still in its infancy. Now we're able to build on it now, because when you first put in a new defense, you have to be very basic because you're teaching all new techniques, all new coverages, all new everything, all new verbiage. Now our kids are comfortable enough in the defense to where we can expand on it. We can start adding some new blitz packages, adding some new personnel packages, getting some nickel and dime and some bigger packages on the field. That's what I'm really excited about our defense going to. But the kids have handled it unbelievably well. All right, I'm really excited about the direction the defense is going in, especially as we start developing more depth up front. I think that's one of the areas of concern we have, to be honest. And you saw that in the Marietta game. We're not very deep up front. Our front three defensive linemen have to play a lot of football, and in this conference, that's not exactly what you want. You want guys rotating in as much as humanly possible. So kudos to those, especially Peck, Davenport, and Lauren Save that have done an unbelievable job playing a lot of football. And let's face it, they're banged up. Everyone knows it, but they're still going out there and fighting for every minute. So I'm really excited about the direction of the defense is going in right now.
Special teams, you've used different players maybe on kickoff returns. I know Braden Jerome's in there. Has kind of assumed that role as a punt returner now, right?
Yeah, that was kind of by necessity. We had some issues. I think we muffed 3 punts early in the season, and I just wanted to put a guy back there that I could trust that could catch it. And Braden's a great athlete, don't get me wrong, but he's not the punt returner that's going to take it to 70. But he's going to catch the ball, and if there's open space there, he's going to get you the yards that he can get you. But that's the biggest thing is being able to catch the ball. I think we have some really dynamic kick returners. I know Jacob Fryer, who's been doing the bulk load, is a great returner. Is a little banged up, but seeing guys like Tremont Wiley, a transfer receiver, step up. You're going to see him this week, and little freshman Nick Snyder, who's weighs about as much as a Kleenex, but he's faster than heck. Really take a lot of great leadership roles on the some special teams, and I think we have some dynamic returners. We just got to get an opportunity.
As far as kickers, Austin Baker, does about everything, but Frank Sewell's come in, and I think he's done a good job on the kickoffs.
He has, and we did that. Really, and Baker's a good kickoff guy too, but it was more of just to take that off Baker's plate so he can just focus on making the extra points, making the field goals, and really his main job is punting. That's what he's known for. That's what he's best at is his punting. We took those kickoffs away just so Baker can focus. And Frank's done a great job. Absolutely great job. He's got a huge leg, and how about they're both from Clyde? They both played on the same team. Actually, Frank was Baker's running back when Baker was starting at quarterback at Clyde. So they have a lot of similarities there. They're both lefties, which is pretty weird. We have so many lefty kickers on our team.
Well, according to stats, Frank has kicked off 18 times and went in the end zone 9 of those. So that's 50%, and not much return on him. So, all right, so that's going to be all the time we have for the Scott Donaldson Show tonight. But once again, if you can make it to Alliance, Ohio and Mount Union, please go support the Heidelberg football team this Saturday. Kickoff at 1:30. If not, you can tune in to WTTF right here, AM 1600, FM 93.3, and on the web at WTTF.com, or go to the Heidelberg website, and you can follow the game as well. Any final thoughts, Coach, before I know tomorrow's Friday, so a little light practice, but
a little morning walkthrough we got going on, and give guys some time off on the feet. But no, if you're in the Cleveland, Akron, wherever area, come on out to Mountain on Saturday. But next week, let's get over here for homecoming for the Muskingum game on the 27th, and that should be a live, really, really great atmosphere. Having a late homecoming, really excited about it.
And the thing is, if you want to know the schedule for homecoming 2018, go to the Heidelberg website. And or go to Facebook and punch in Heidelberg homecoming. There's things going on Friday night, all day Saturday, and even Sunday morning. So
the Hall of Fame weekend, and it's again, our home games aren't home games. They're campus-wide events. I mean, there's so much going on. The only thing I'm mad about is that I never get to be a part of it because I got to coach a game. There's so much going on between the other sports, the fraternities, the sororities. I know for homecoming we have Hall of Fame, and then the band does an unbelievable job every week putting on a great show. And John Waters just makes our games events, and that's what home games are for us, and that's why I love it, and that's why I love Heidelberg.
All right, very good. Thank you for joining us here tonight. Thanks to our volleyball players, Taylor Arbogast and also Morgan Strenk for joining us here tonight as well. Thanks to Robin White, who's here every week, or most weeks, and
some weeks.
Anyway. And that's it. Thanks to John Spar III back at the studios for taking care of us and being our board operator. John Kern saying so long. We'll talk to you on Saturday afternoon, pregame show right here on WTTF of the Heidelberg and Mount Union game at about 1 o'clock. Have yourself a great Thursday evening, everybody.
Thanks for listening to this evening's Scott Donaldson Show from the Berg Bistro. Tonight's show has been brought to you by the Berg Bistro and these community-minded sponsors: Kimmel Cleaners, Harrison Price Insurance, National Machinery, Subway of Tiffin, Tiffin Brake and Wheel, and the Tiffin Buffalo Wild Wings. Join us again next time as we talk Heidelberg football on the Scott Donaldson Show here on WTTF. AM 1600, FM 93.3, and on the web at WTTF.com.